The first time I knew my marriage was truly over wasn't when I found the divorce papers, or even during that final screaming match in our kitchen. It was at the Hamilton family's Thanksgiving dinner, watching my mother-in-law's face twist with disgust as I walked in wearing my paramedic uniform. I'm Vanessa, and I had just finished a 12-hour shift saving lives when I rushed to make it to dinner. The moment I stepped into their marble-floored foyer, still smelling faintly of antiseptic, Marlene's perfectly lined lips curled into a sneer. Really, dear, you couldn't change first? That uniform is such an eyesore. I felt Zion, my husband, tense beside me. In the past, he would have defended me. This time, he stayed silent. Sorry, Marlene. Multiple car pile-up kept me late. It was either come as I am or miss dinner entirely. I forced a smile, though my hands were trembling with exhaustion and anger. Perhaps missing dinner would have been preferable, she muttered, loud enough for everyone to hear. Jessica, my sister-in-law, didn't even try to hide her smirk. The dining room was a museum of wealth. Crystal chandeliers, antique china, silver that probably cost more than my yearly salary. I sat down, feeling like an intruder in my own family. So, Vanessa, Terrell, my father-in-law, cleared his throat. Zion tells us you're still adamant about keeping your job. Of course I am. I set down my water glass harder than necessary. I love what I do. But surely now that you're married to Zion, Marlene interjected, you could find something more suitable, perhaps in hospital administration? I looked at Zion, waiting for him to speak up. He studied his plate instead, pushing around his turkey with his fork. I'm not giving up my career, I said firmly. I save lives. That matters to me. What matters, Marlene's voice turned to ice, is family reputation. No Hamilton woman has ever worked such a common job. That's when Zion finally spoke, but not to defend me. He reached for my hand under the table, his voice soft but devastating. Baby, maybe they have a point. For the sake of our family. I yanked my hand away and stood up so quickly my chair scraped against the hardwood floor. Our family. There is no our family if you're ashamed of who I am. The next few weeks were a blur of tears, arguments, and finally papers. I found them on our kitchen counter one morning, Zion's signature already dried on the dotted line. I love you, he said, standing in our kitchen for the last time. But I can't keep disappointing them. You won't compromise. I clutched my paramedic badge, the metal warm against my palm. No, I won't, because someone who truly loved me wouldn't ask me to. Please understand. I understand perfectly. I cut him off. You're choosing them over me, over what we built together, over everything I am. Vanessa, get out. My voice was steady even as tears burned my eyes. Just get out. He hesitated, then grabbed his keys. At the door, he turned back. I'm sorry it had to end this way. Yeah, I whispered, more to myself than to him as the door clicked shut. So am I. That night, I worked a double shift, throwing myself into every call, every emergency. My partner Ethan didn't ask about my red eyes or shaking hands. He just handed me coffee and said, whatever it is, you're stronger than it. I stared at my reflection in the ambulance window, still wearing the uniform that had cost me my marriage. The same uniform that had helped me save 3 lives that night alone. You know what, Ethan? I wiped my eyes and straightened my badge. I really am. My phone buzzed. Another text from Marlene. You're making a terrible mistake. It's not too late to fix this. I blocked her number without responding. Let them have their perfect family image, their country club memberships, their pristine reputation. I had lives to save, and for the first time in years, I could breathe freely. What I didn't know then was that fate has a twisted sense of humor. 3 years later, I'd see the Hamiltons again, not across a dinner table, but across the wreckage of a horrific accident. And this time, their lives would quite literally be in my hands. But that's getting ahead of the story. 3 years can change everything. I stood in front of the mirror, adjusting my dress uniform, the Paramedic of the Year ceremony, just hours away. My best friend Catherine sprawled across my bed, scrolling through her phone. Have you seen this? She held up her screen, showing a social media post. Zion's engaged to some corporate lawyer. Don't care, I said, though my stomach tightened. Haven't thought about him in ages. Liar. Catherine sat up. But you know what? You won. Look at you. Award ceremony tonight, your own place, and that promotion last month. Meanwhile, they're still playing dress-up at country club events. I smoothed down my jacket, the brass buttons gleaming. This isn't about winning. The hell it isn't, she grinned. Speaking of winning, is Ethan coming tonight? As my partner, yeah. Don't start with that again. He's hot, single, and looks at you like you hang the moon. Just saying. The ceremony was held at the city's finest hotel. My whole station showed up, along with dozens of other first responders. Chief Martinez called me to the podium, and I felt my chest swell with pride as he read the citation. Paramedic Vanessa Collins has shown exceptional dedication, skill, and courage. In the past year alone, she's performed 2 field deliveries, saved 17 cardiac arrest victims, and led her team through the downtown pile-up crisis. I accepted the award to thunderous applause, catching Ethan's proud smile from the crowd. This was my family now, people who valued actions over appearances, substance over status. At the reception afterward, Catherine cornered me by the bar. Guess who I overheard talking about you at the salon last week? Jessica, your ex-sister-in-law. I took a long sip of champagne. And? She was telling someone how the Hamiltons never mention you. Like you never existed. Marlene apparently burns sage whenever someone brings up your name. I laughed, but it was hollow. Good. I hope it gives her allergies. You okay? Ethan appeared beside us, his dress uniform making him look even more handsome than usual. You've got that look. What look? The one where you're pretending something doesn't bother you. Before I could respond, my radio crackled. I always kept it on, even at events like this. Force of habit. All available units. Major MVA on Highway 27. Multiple vehicles involved. Possible entrapment. Fire on scene requesting additional medical support. Ethan and I locked eyes. We both knew that stretch of road, notorious for bad accidents. Go, Catherine said, taking my award. I'll explain to everyone. We were changing into our work uniforms in the back of the ambulance as our rookie driver, Maren, sped toward the scene. The radio crackled again with updates. Dispatch to responding units. Be advised we have at least 6 victims, 2 confirmed critical. Vehicle registration shows. My blood froze as the dispatcher read off the names. Zion Hamilton and Marlene Hamilton among the victims. Ethan grabbed my arm. Vanessa. I'm fine. I checked my equipment with mechanical precision. They're just another call. Like hell they are, if you need to. I said I'm fine. I snapped on my gloves as we approached the scene. We have a job to do. The highway was chaos. 3 cars were tangled together with a 4th, a familiar black Bentley, crushed against the median. Smoke rose from one vehicle and I could hear screaming. Focus on the job, I muttered to myself. Just focus on the job. Then I saw him. Zion was half hanging out of the Bentley's passenger window, blood streaming down his face. Our eyes met across the wreckage, and I watched recognition dawn in his pain-glazed expression. Vanessa! His voice was weak, disbelieving. Multiple victims, I shouted to my team, ignoring him. Maren, start triage on the far vehicle. Ethan, take the smoking car, I'll assess the Bentley. As I approached, I saw Marlene in the back seat, unconscious and trapped by crushed metal. The universe really did have a sick sense of humour. Please, Zion whispered as I began my assessment. Help her. I pulled out my penlight, checking his pupils. Sir, I need you to stay still and quiet. Can you tell me where it hurts? Vanessa, Where does it hurt? My voice was pure ice. Before he could answer, a scream cut through the night. In the 3rd car, a man was going into shock, his injuries clearly severe. I had a choice to make. The Hamiltons were critical but stable. The other victim wasn't. Protocol was clear. Treat the most critical first. But protocol had never accounted for treating the family that destroyed yours. The next few minutes would test everything I believed about myself. As a paramedic, and as a human being. The smell of gasoline and burning rubber filled my lungs as I ran toward the 3rd car. The victim, according to his license Eric, was deteriorating fast. Blood soaked through his shirt, and his breathing came in shallow gasps. Sir, I'm a paramedic. Can you hear me? I pressed my fingers to his neck, finding a rapid, thready pulse. My kids, he wheezed. We're supposed to pick them up. Behind me, I heard Marlene's voice, now conscious and shrill. Help! Someone help us! Do you know who we are? I gritted my teeth and focused on Eric. Multiple lacerations, possible internal bleeding, BP dropping, I called out to Ethan. We need to extract him now. Vanessa! Zion's voice stronger now. Please! The fire department arrived, their sirens adding to the chaos. I directed them to start working on the Bentley while I stayed with Eric, who was slipping into shock. Starting IV access, I announced, finding a vein. Push 1 litre normal saline, wide open. Vanessa Collins, Marlene's voice cut through the night. I know that's you. You have a duty. I have a duty to all patients, I snapped back, not looking at her. And right now, this man is critical. Ethan appeared beside me, his face grim. How's he doing? Not good. We need to move him now. I turned to the firefighters. Get the jaws, we need this door off. The next few minutes were a blur of coordinated chaos. The screech of metal as they cut through the car door. Eric's vitals dropping, the heat of nearby flames against my face. BP's crashing, I shouted, starting another IV line. Where's that ambulance? 2 minutes out, Maren called back. From the Bentley, I heard Marlene start to cry. Not her usual controlled tears meant for manipulation. These were raw, primal sounds of genuine fear. My leg! I can't feel my leg, she screamed. I forced myself to stay focused on Eric. The firefighters finally got the door off, and we carefully moved him onto a backboard. Stay with me, sir, I said, running alongside the stretcher. Think about those kids waiting for you. His eyes flickered open. Tell them. I'm sorry. Tell them yourself, I insisted, jumping into the ambulance with him. Ethan, you good here? He nodded. Go. I've got the others stabilized enough for now. As we sped toward the hospital, I worked frantically to keep Eric alive. Each time his vitals dropped, I could hear Marlene's voice in my head. Do you know who we are? Yeah, I knew exactly who they were. The woman who'd made me feel worthless for years. The man who'd chosen family reputation over love. The people who'd tried to strip away everything I was proud of. And now they were back there, bleeding and afraid, waiting for help. The hospital doors burst open as we rushed Eric inside. Male, 40s, multiple trauma, BP, 80-40 and dropping. I rattled off his status to the trauma team. Good work, the doctor said as they took over. He might make it thanks to your quick response. I stepped back, my uniform covered in blood and sweat. My radio crackled. Ethan's voice. Vanessa, you better get back here. Marlene's condition is deteriorating. I closed my eyes for a moment. 3 years of building myself back up, of proving I was more than they'd ever given me credit for. And now this. Copy that, I responded. En route. The drive back felt endless. I could see the flashing lights from half a mile away, lighting up the night sky like some twisted carnival. As I parked, Jessica's BMW screeched to a halt nearby. She jumped out, designer heels totally inappropriate for a crash scene, and spotted me immediately, her face contorted with rage. You! She screamed. What are you doing here? Where's my mother? Being treated, I said calmly, pulling on fresh gloves, like every other patient at this scene. She should have been taken to the hospital immediately. If anything happens to her, then it won't be because of me. I cut her off. It'll be because of a car accident. Now either step back or I'll have an officer remove you. I walked past her toward the Bentley where Marlene lay trapped and Zion sat receiving oxygen. 3 years of therapy, of rebuilding my life, of telling myself they couldn't hurt me anymore. But seeing them like this, broken, bleeding, desperate, didn't feel like victory. It felt like a test. One I couldn't afford to fail, no matter how much a small, dark part of me wanted to. Ethan, I called out, give me her vitals. BP's dropping 90-60, Ethan reported. Possible internal bleeding. She's drifting in and out. I leaned into the mangled Bentley, my flashlight illuminating Marlene's pale face. Her designer outfit was shredded, her perfectly styled hair matted with blood. The dashboard had her legs pinned, and a quick assessment confirmed my fears. Compromised circulation to her lower extremities. Marlene, I said firmly, can you hear me? Her eyes fluttered open, focusing on my face. Recognition dawned, followed by something between fear and anger. You left him? She slurred. Mom, I need you to focus. Can you feel this? I pressed on her foot. No response. She needs help now, Jessica demanded from behind me. Not 20 questions. Shut up or leave, I snapped, not turning around. Ethan, get fire over here. We need to get her out before she loses her legs. Zion watched from his stretcher, oxygen mask fogging with each breath. Vanessa, Not now. I cut him off, checking Marlene's pupils. Unequal and sluggish. Possible head trauma. The firefighters arrived with their equipment. How do you want to play this? Their captain asked. We need to stabilize the vehicle first, I said. Then cut away the dashboard. But carefully, one wrong move and we could sever an artery. Marlene grabbed my arm, her manicured nails digging in. Please. Don't let me die. For a moment, I was back at that Thanksgiving table, watching her sneer at my uniform. Now she was begging the same, common paramedic to save her life. Nobody's dying tonight, I said, starting an IV, but I need you to stay very still. The next 20 minutes were intense. The screech of metal as the firefighters worked, Marlene's vital signs beeping on our portable monitor, Jessica's constant stream of threats and demands, until finally a police officer led her away. BP's still dropping, Ethan warned. Almost there, I called back, watching the dashboard slowly lift away from Marlene's legs. Get ready with the backboard. As soon as she was free, blood began flowing from her legs, too much blood. I grabbed pressure bandages, working quickly. Vanessa, she whispered, I'm cold. That's the shock talking. I wrapped her legs tight. Stay with me. I never thought you were good enough for him. I kept working, trying to ignore her words. But you came back. To help us. It's my job, I said flatly. Ethan, she's ready to move. We transferred her to a stretcher, her vitals stabilizing slightly with the pressure bandages. As we loaded her into the ambulance, Zion tried to stand from his stretcher. Sir, stay down, Maren warned him. Vanessa, wait! He pulled off his oxygen mask. I need to tell you. What you need, I cut him off, is to let the rookie paramedic do her job. Maren, he's all yours. Keep him on oxygen and transport to county. You're not coming with us, Marlene asked weakly from inside the ambulance. No, I'm going to check on my other patient. I turned to Ethan. Get her to Trinity General. They have the best vascular surgeon on call tonight. You're sending her to the better hospital? Zion asked, surprise in his voice. I looked at him directly for the first time. Unlike some people, I don't let personal feelings affect my professional judgment. The words hit him like a slap. Good. I turned away, heading toward my rig to drive to the hospital where Eric had been taken. Behind me, I heard Jessica arguing with the police officer about following the ambulance. Vanessa, Ethan called after me. You did good. I stopped, my hand on the door handle. Did I? Because part of me wanted to work slower, to let her feel just a fraction of the pain she caused me. But you didn't. No. I climbed into the driver's seat. And that might make me a better person, but it sure as hell doesn't make me feel better. My radio crackled, an update from the hospital about Eric. His condition was critical but stable. They'd contacted his kids who were on their way. I started the engine, watching in my rearview mirror as Marlene's ambulance pulled away, sirens wailing. 3 years ago, she'd tried to force me to choose between my career and her family. Tonight, I'd chosen to be exactly who I was, a damn good paramedic who saved lives, even the lives of people who'd tried to destroy mine. But as I pulled away from the crash scene, I couldn't shake the feeling that this night was far from over, and the hardest choices were still to come. Trinity General's ER was chaos when I arrived. I spotted Jessica immediately, pacing in designer heels, phone pressed to her ear. Daddy, you need to come now. They won't tell me anything, and that woman is involved somehow. I walked past her to the nurse's station. Maria, a nurse I'd worked with for years, looked up. Your former mother-in-law's in surgery, she said before I could ask. Vascular team's trying to save her legs. The ex is getting a CT scan. I'm here about Eric, the other crash victim. He was taken to... County General, I know, they called. He's stable but critical. She lowered her voice. Want to tell me how you ended up treating your ex's family? Wrong place, right time, I muttered. Vanessa! Jessica's voice cut through the ER. What did you do to my mother? I turned slowly. I saved her life. You're welcome. Saved her? She could lose her legs, and you left her waiting while you helped some stranger. That stranger had critical injuries. My mother is a pillar of the community. Jessica's voice rose hysterically. She deserved priority treatment. That's not how emergency medicine works, I said evenly. We treat based on medical necessity, not social status. I'm calling our lawyer, she hissed. You let personal feelings interfere with... Actually, a deep voice cut in. She followed protocol exactly. A tall man in a police uniform stepped forward, Officer Marcus, who'd been at the scene. I observed the entire incident. Her triage decisions were textbook. Jessica's face reddened. Do you know who we are? Yes, he replied coolly. The family that got into a car accident and received professional medical care, just like anyone else would. The ER doors burst open. Terrell strode in looking exactly as I remembered, expensive suit, cold eyes. He stopped short when he saw me. What is she doing here? Saving your wife's life, Maria snapped from behind the desk. Now either sit down or leave. This is a hospital, not your country club. Before he could respond, a doctor emerged from the surgical area. Family of Marlene? Jessica and Terrell rushed forward. I turned to leave, but the doctor called out, Paramedic Collins? You should hear this too. It concerns your field treatment. I reluctantly joined the group. Mrs. Hamilton's condition is serious but stable, the doctor explained. The pressure bandages applied at the scene likely saved her legs. However, he paused. There may be permanent nerve damage. She'll need extensive rehabilitation. Permanent? Jessica's voice cracked. But she has galas to attend, charity boards to run. She'll be lucky if she's walking unassisted in 6 months, the doctor said firmly. Terrell's face hardened. And my son. CT shows no major head trauma. He'll be discharged tomorrow. I started to slip away, but Terrell's voice stopped me. You did this. I turned back. Excuse me. You delayed treatment. Made her wait while you helped others. This is your revenge, isn't it? Officer Marcus stepped forward again, but I held up my hand. Let me be very clear, I said, my voice steady. I treated your wife according to established medical protocols. The same protocols I follow for every patient, regardless of who they are or what they've done to me. You expect us to believe... I don't care what you believe. I met his gaze. Your wife is alive. Your son is alive. The fact that you're standing here complaining about rehabilitation instead of planning funerals is because of me and my team. How dare you? No, how dare you? I stepped closer. 3 years ago, you all tried to convince me that my job was beneath me, that saving lives wasn't as important as attending your precious galas. Well, guess what? The skills you despise just saved your family. So you can thank me or you can call your lawyers. Either way, I'm done here. I turned and walked away, ignoring Jessica's spluttering and Terrell's threats. Maria gave me a subtle fist bump as I passed. Outside, the night air was cool on my face. My phone buzzed. A text from Catherine. Heard what happened. You okay? Before I could respond, the ER doors opened. Zion limped out, his face bruised but mobile. Vanessa, wait. I'm off duty, I said without turning. Any medical concerns, talk to your nurse. You saved her. After everything, you saved her. I finally looked at him. Yeah, well, that's the thing about being common. We do what's right, not what's easy. His face crumpled. I'm so sorry, I was wrong about everything. You're about 3 years too late. I got into my car. Goodbye, Zion. Take care of your mother. She's got a long road ahead. As I drove away, I realized something. The revenge I'd imagined for years had finally arrived, but not through cruelty or negligence. It came through doing my job perfectly, professionally, and without hesitation. And somehow, that felt better than any petty vengeance ever could. I was halfway to County General to check on Eric when my radio crackled. All units be advised. Patient Marlene experiencing cardiac complications at Trinity General. Code blue in progress. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. I could keep driving. I was off duty technically, but something made me flip on my lights and make a U-turn. Racing back into Trinity's ER, I found controlled chaos. The crash cart was already there, paddles charged. Marlene lay grey and lifeless as the doctor called out, "Clear!" Her body jerked with the shock. No response. "Again!" the doctor ordered. "Clear!" Still nothing. I grabbed gloves and stepped in. I treated her at the scene. She had clear signs of internal bleeding. The doctor nodded. Likely through a clot. Starting compressions. Jessica stood in the doorway, mascara streaking down her face. "Do something!" "We're doing everything we can," I snapped, helping set up another IV line. "This is your fault," she sobbed. "You waited too long to bring her in." A nurse tried to guide her away, but Jessica shrugged her off. "No, I want her charged with negligence. She did this on purpose." "Get her out of here," the doctor ordered. "Charging to 360, called the nurse. "Clear." This time, the monitor showed a faint rhythm. Then another. Weak, but there. "We've got her back," the doctor announced, "but she's not stable. Oars prepped for emergency surgery." As they rushed Marlene away, Jessica grabbed my arm. "If she dies..." "Back off," Ethan's voice cut in. He must have followed me back. "Vanessa saved your mother twice tonight. Show some gratitude." "Gratitude?" Jessica laughed hysterically. "She's probably celebrating inside. This is exactly what she wanted." "Is it?" I whirled on her. You think I spent years training, working double shifts, dealing with trauma and death just to get revenge on your family? You really think I'm that small? I think. No, you don't think. None of you do. You just judge and assume and look down on anyone who doesn't fit your perfect little world. Well, guess what? Your perfect world just crashed into a highway median, and now you're depending on all us common people to put it back together. The elevator dinged, and Zion stepped out, limping. What's happening? I heard the code. Your mother's alive, I said shortly. No thanks to your sister's interference. Jessica, he said quietly. Go home. But go. Home. His voice was firm. You're not helping. She stared at him, then stormed out, heels clicking on the linoleum. Thank you, Zion said softly, for coming back. I didn't do it for you. I know. He leaned against the wall. You did it because it's who you are, who you've always been. I was too weak to stand up for that. Save it, I cut him off. I need to check on my other patient. The man from the crash, Ethan asked. I just got an update. He's asking for you. I nodded, turning to leave, but Zion called after me. Will she make it? I looked back at him, at the fear in his eyes. For a moment I saw the man I'd fallen in love with, before his family's expectations destroyed him. Her chances would be better if she hadn't been moved to a private room against medical advice, I said pointedly. Status matters less than stability in trauma cases. Remember that. I left him standing there, processing the truth of what his family's pride had cost them. Ethan fell into step beside me as we headed for my car. You okay? He asked. No, I admitted, but I'm better than I was 3 years ago. Want company for the drive to county? I almost said no, but truthfully, I was exhausted. Yeah, actually, I do. As we drove, my phone buzzed with a text from Catherine. Heard about the cardiac episode. Need me to hide a body. Despite everything, I smiled. No bodies today, I texted back at a red light. Just karma doing its thing. The best revenge is living well, Ethan quoted, reading over my shoulder. No, I corrected him, pulling into County General's parking lot. The best revenge is staying true to yourself, even when it means saving the people who tried to change you. We walked into the hospital, and I could hear Marlene's monitor beeping in my head, that moment between life and death. I'd chosen to save her, not because I had to, but because it was right. And somehow, that choice had finally set me free. But as we approached Eric's room, a nurse rushed out, face grim. Thank God you're here. We've got another problem. The night, it seemed, wasn't done testing me yet. Eric's room was a flurry of activity. His blood pressure had crashed, and the surgical site was bleeding again. 2 young teenagers huddled in the corner, his kids, I realized, watching with terrified eyes. He was asking for you, the nurse said, right before he crashed. I approached his bedside. Eric, can you hear me? His eyes fluttered open. The paramedic? That's right. I'm Vanessa. My kids. He gestured weakly. Tell them. Tell them yourself, I said firmly. Doctor, what do we need? OR's prepped, but his pressure's too low to move him. We need to stabilize him here first. I turned to the kids. Hey, I'm going to need you to step outside for a minute, okay? The older one, a girl about 15, shook her head. We're not leaving him. Sarah, Eric whispered. Listen to her. My phone buzzed, a text from Ethan. Marlene's coding again at Trinity. I stared at the message, my heart pounding. 2 critical patients, 2 hospitals, 1 impossible choice. Starting presses, the doctor announced. Push 1 of EPI. I looked at Eric's kids, then at my phone, then at the monitor showing his falling vitals. The Hamiltons had a whole team of doctors, the best money could buy. Eric had me. I'm staying, I said, pocketing my phone. What do you need? The next 20 minutes were intense. We pushed medications, adjusted drips, fought to keep him stable. His kids never left, watching everything with wide eyes. Finally, his pressure stabilized enough for surgery. As they wheeled him out, he grabbed my hand. Thank you, he whispered, for choosing to stay. I squeezed his hand, then turned to his kids. He's fighting hard. For you. Sarah wiped her eyes. The other people, from the accident, are they okay? They're getting the best care possible, I assured her. Just like your dad. My phone buzzed again. Catherine this time. Marlene, stable but critical. Thought you'd want to know. Relief flooded through me, followed immediately by guilt for feeling relieved. I shouldn't care about Marlene's survival. But I did. Because caring was who I was, even when I didn't want to. Vanessa? A familiar voice from the doorway. Zion stood there, arm in a sling. You shouldn't be here, I said. Mom's stable. He stepped into the room. I needed to see if you were okay. I'm fine, you should go. Is this him? Sarah asked suddenly. The one whose family you left to help my dad. I froze. Zion looked between us, understanding dawning on his face. Yes, he said quietly. I'm the fool who let her go because I thought status mattered more than saving lives. That's stupid, Sarah's younger brother spoke up. She saved our dad. Yeah? Zion smiled sadly. She did. Because that's who she is, who she's always been. He turned to me. I'm sorry it took nearly dying to realize that. Zion. No. Let me finish. You were right to choose this patient. Right to prioritize need over name. Right about everything. He took a shaky breath. I was wrong. So wrong. And not just tonight. A nurse appeared in the doorway. Mr. Eric's in surgery. It's looking good. The kids hugged each other, crying in relief. I felt tears in my own eyes. You should get back to your mother, I said to Zion. I know. He hesitated. For what it's worth, the woman I married, the one who wouldn't compromise her principles, I see her clearly now, and she's magnificent. He turned and limped away, leaving me standing there with tears on my cheeks and a weight lifting from my heart. Sarah touched my arm. Are you okay? I wiped my eyes. Yeah, sometimes doing the right thing hurts, but it's still right. Will you stay? Her brother asked. Until we know about Dad? I looked at these kids, at their trust and fear and hope. Then, I looked at my phone. No more emergency texts about Marlene. Yes, I said. I'll stay. We sat together in the waiting room, the kids eventually falling asleep against my shoulders. I thought about Marlene, about Zion, about choices and consequences and the strange ways life tests us. I'd chosen right tonight, not just medically but morally, and somehow that choice had healed more than just my patients. It had finally healed me. The surgeon appeared hours later, smiling. He's going to make it. The kids woke up, crying and hugging each other. I stood back, watching their joy, feeling my own eyes fill again. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. Sometimes it's just being exactly who you are, no matter what anyone else thinks you should be. The morning sun streamed through the hospital windows as I finished my paperwork from the night's events. Catherine appeared with 2 cups of coffee, dropping into the chair beside me. So, she said, your ex-mother-in-law is asking to see you. I nearly choked on my coffee. What? Nurse Maria just called me. Marlene's awake and specifically requested you. She studied my face. You don't have to go. Actually, I said, standing up, I think I do. I checked on Eric first. He was awake, his kids still by his side. My guardian angel, he smiled weakly. Just doing my job, I said. How are you feeling? Like I got hit by a car, he joked, then turned serious. Thank you for staying, for choosing us. Sarah hugged me. Dad told us everything, about the other family, about your history with them. You're amazing. No, I said. I'm just a paramedic who keeps her oath. Get better, okay? Walking into Trinity General felt different now. The staff nodded respectfully as I passed. Even Jessica, sitting in the waiting room, stayed silent. Marlene's private room was quiet, except for the steady beep of monitors. She looked small in the hospital bed, her perfectly coiffed hair replaced by bandages. Vanessa, she said softly. You came. You asked for me. Yes. She shifted slightly, wincing. The doctors told me everything. About how you saved me twice. About how you followed every protocol perfectly, even when... She trailed off. Even when I had every reason not to? Yes. A tear rolled down her cheek. I was wrong about you. So wrong. You're not common at all. You're extraordinary. I sat in the chair beside her bed. I never wanted to be extraordinary, Marlene. I just wanted to help people. That's all I've ever wanted. I know that now. She reached for my hand. I hesitated, then took it. When I was dying, when my heart stopped, I wasn't thinking about galas or country clubs or what people would say. I was thinking about how the person I'd judged so harshly was fighting to keep me alive. That's my job. No, she squeezed my hand. That's who you are, and I'm sorry I couldn't see it before. The door opened and Zion walked in. He stopped short, seeing us together. I can come back. No, Marlene said. Stay. I need to say this to both of you. She took a shaky breath. I destroyed something beautiful because I couldn't see past my own prejudices. I broke up a marriage that was based on love because it didn't fit my narrow view of success. Mother, Zion started. Let me finish, she looked at me. You were right to leave, right to stay true to yourself. And last night, you proved that your kind of success, saving lives, helping strangers, keeping your integrity, matters more than all my social climbing ever did. My pager beeped. Another emergency call. Some things never change. I have to go, I said, standing. Of course you do. Marlene smiled sadly. Go save more lives. It's who you are. I walked to the door, then turned back. For what it's worth, Marlene, true strength isn't in maintaining appearances. It's in admitting when you're wrong. Outside, Ethan waited by the ambulance. Everything okay? Yeah, I said, surprised to realize I meant it. Everything's finally okay. Good, he grinned, because we've got a pregnant woman in labor on the highway. I laughed, climbing into the rig. Just another day at the office. You know, he said as we sped toward the call, I've always admired how you never let anyone change who you are. Life's too short to be anyone else, I said, checking my equipment. Sometimes it takes a tragedy for people to see that. And sometimes, he smiled, it takes a strong woman in a uniform to show them. The morning sun lit up the highway ahead of us, and I felt lighter than I had in years. Not because of revenge or karma or even forgiveness, but because I'd stayed true to myself when it mattered most. My radio crackled with details about our incoming patient. I smiled, ready for whatever came next, because that's who I am. A paramedic, a professional, a woman who knows exactly who she is and what she stands for. And no one would ever make me question that again. Let's go deliver a baby, I said to Ethan, and we raced toward our next emergency, sirens wailing in the bright morning air. Some people find redemption in grand gestures or dramatic moments, but for me it came in doing exactly what I'd always done, saving lives, one call at a time, no matter who needed saving. That was my revenge, my victory, my truth, and it was more than enough.